Well, now that we're 8 weeks into the 2017 UFL season, it's time for the second quarter report. And oh boy, I got a whole lot of things to say as we go look at the standings now. So here are the standings after 8 weeks into the season. And so far in the Eastern Midwest, Minnesota is absolutely demolishing everyone with that 7-1 record. And right behind them, how about that? Indiana, all of a sudden, second place after they were like last place for like the entire duration of the season. St. Louis, their collapse continues. They were 3-1 a while last time out. Now they're 3-5. And Detroit, oh my God, their collapse continues as they're still 2-6. In fact, they have like one. Yeah, look at this list right now. They have the longest losing streak in the league. How about that? And then we go on to the Eastern Gulf. Tampa Bay, still number 1 in the division and undefeated still. How about that? Especially that epic comeback in Miami, too. Down 17-7 going to halftime and ended up winning 40-17. That was impressive. Houston, second place at 4-4. How about that? Tampa and Minnesota have a 4-game lead against their division rivals. And Memphis, I meant to say, continuing to struggle at 4-4. They can't get anything right. And Miami, after that pretty solid, strong 3-2 start, has lost now 3 in a row, especially that terrible loss to Tampa Bay this last week. And in the Eastern Atlantic, Washington barely hangs on that number 1 spot in the division, with Buffalo coming up from behind now at 4-4. Baltimore struggling, like they can't ever get a break, even though they've been like a dominant team so far at 3-4-1, and Pittsburgh still struggling very badly at 2-6. And then we go to the Eastern Pacific. Now Oakland out of nowhere now leads the division as Seattle has lost 2 in a row to fall to 5-2-1. And how about Anaheim? They were 0-4 to start the year. Now they've won 4 in a row, and if the season ended today, they would be in the playoffs. Are you kidding me? Is this going to continue, or are they going to come back down the reality and start losing again? We're going to have to wait and see. And then, of course, up last is Utah. 7-1. They can't go winless, but the fact that they still have yet to win a game, especially considering they were supposed to be like one of the better teams in the league, that is a very scary sign for them for the future if they can't even get the shit right when they're supposed to be this good. So that's the Eastern Conference. Then the Western Midwest, Green Bay still leads, with that tie really being very helpful for them to maintain that lead. Kansas, all of a sudden, starting to turn it around at 4-4. Cincinnati, after being 4-1 a while ago, now they fall into 4-4. It's not looking good for them, especially it's also with Canton as well at 2-6. Neither are looking good at this point. And how about this in the Western Gulf? Jackson now takes the lead over Columbia after winning 3 in a row, but their performance is still pretty subpar because they're also supposed to be like one of the better teams in the league. New Orleans right behind them too. How about that? That's pretty good since they're supposed to be like one of the worser teams as well at 4-4. Columbia, how far have they fallen now to 4-4? Atlanta's still hanging in there despite not doing good at 3-5. And then we go to the Western Atlantic, the best team in the conference, Philadelphia. Last time we talked about them, they were undefeated. Then they took that terrible loss to Atlanta, but they're 7-1 and still easily leading the division and the conference. With New York, I mean, they're 5-3, but all their losses have been like major blowouts. So I don't know what to say about them. I mean, they're good enough to win 5 games so far, but then they go and lose badly against all their other teams. So who knows what to say about them? Boston all of a sudden now 3-5, and they've been dominating a bunch of their games too. So far now they have more points scored than allowed, so that could be a good sign for them to continue on to get better. And then Montreal, oh God, like right up there with Utah is like the worst team in the league at 1-7 still. And then we get down to the Western Pacific. How about this? Now all of a sudden, Los Angeles out of nowhere now. 6-2, second place in the conference. With Utah now, Blue Box taking 2 losses now. They're supposed to be a team with the number 1 offense in the league. And they're just doing like more defensive work. That offense isn't getting much points whatsoever. But they're still hanging in there in the playoffs. But they got to catch up. And how about this too? Denver, a not very good team with a very terrible offense, but an incredible defense is saving their season so far, 4-4. It's like they kind of remind me of a reverse of the Denver Miners, where they have strong offense but a terrible defense holding them back. And last in the West Pacific is the Phoenix Dust Devils at 1-7. So those are stands right now. So if the playoffs began today, Tampa Bay and Minnesota would have the byes in the Eastern Division, with Oakland hosting Anaheim, and Seattle going to Washington. In the Western Conference, it would be Philadelphia and Los Angeles with the byes, and it would be Green Bay hosting New York, and Jackson hosting Lubbock. In the Eastern Conference, I think Seattle might be able to beat Washington. I think Oakland will beat Anaheim, which will set Oakland up to go to Minnesota, where I think they will lose, and Seattle will go to Tampa, which I think they'll lose. And then I think Tampa Bay will beat Minnesota. And then in the Western Conference, Green Bay will beat New York. Lubbock will, man, that's quite tough one. But I think maybe they might lose to Jackson at the moment, since Jackson seems to be getting better. Green Bay would lose to Los Angeles, and Jackson would lose to Philadelphia, and then Los Angeles would lose to Philadelphia. And then in the championship game, which I don't think I've ever mentioned before, the championship game goes to the team with the best record, so this would mean Philadelphia going to Tampa Bay. And, oh boy, that's quite a difficult thing to say, because Tampa Bay is a very good team, but Philadelphia is also a very good team as well. And when you look at the stats, Philadelphia is obviously better, and they're still undefeated at home. Of course, I'm on the road, whereas Tampa Bay is also undefeated on the road, so I really don't know who to say would win that one. So that's the report after halftime now, as we're getting closer and closer to getting ready to start talking about playoffs as well, which I'm going to actually add that onto the videos when we start getting into the playoff talks of who gets eliminated, who gets in, what the conditions have to be. So be on the lookout for that for week 9 coming soon, hopefully. And of course, if you're all wondering about PFA, I'm still working on the site. I said hopefully I was thinking about like maybe by the end of August I might be able to start simulating again, but who knows? Because I still got a lot of work to do on the site. So hopefully soon, both the week 9 of 2017 UFL season and the 2017 PFA season will start up.